Hey, baby, I want to know what's on your mind. I want to know what's on your mind. Yo, what's the deal, baby? How y'all doing? How you doing? How's everybody doing? Listen, man, I am so happy to be here today. Shouts out to my girl, Tangela Sears. I love you. Y'all don't know how much I love Tangela Sears. We are back for another Tuesday conversation. You see, Bishop Curry has Tuesday Talk in the morning, WMEM on Tuesday, and I have the Tuesday conversation at night. Or 7 o'clock at night, and we talk about the issues that concern the good folks of Miami. What's up, my man? Horace, I see you. Red Raider. Go Big Red Raider. So we have these conversations on Tuesday, things that affect communities all across the country. For the last 2 weeks, I've been focused only on things that are affecting the good folks of Miami, which affects the rest of the country. And the reason why I say it affects the rest of the country when you're dealing with politics, because it's no different. It's no different in Harlem. It's no different. Shouts out to South Carolina. What's up, Wanda? It's no different than what happens in South Carolina, what happens in Dade and Broward and Palm Beach and Dallas and Houston and in New York. It's the same thing. And so I say that to say this. It is very important for us to have these conversations, because you learn some things. You learn some things how government aligns themselves with all of us. How they align themselves against us, and how government aligns themselves with the rest of society. So I say that to say this. For instance, if you're a traveling person, right, which most of us are, if you're a traveling person, you'll go to, let's say you'll go to LA. Say we go to LA. And you'll have parts of LA, you'll go to LA and LA folks will say, man, this part of LA in the Black community used to be all Black. You'll go to Harlem in New York, and you'll say, you know what? Harlem used to be Black. Harlem used to be a place where only African Americans live. We got the big Apollo Theater and all these beautiful things. And so when you think that certain things are only happening in your backyard because we don't align ourselves or communicate with ourselves, you would think that, oh, this is an isolated situation. No, it's not isolated. The same game is being ran. Hey, how you doing, Lewis? The same game is being ran all across the country on African Americans. A guy, friend of mine, I used to go to Detroit a lot, and I used to stay downtown Detroit. Then they brought in the casinos, right? And right across the river, you got Canada. Before you would have to go to Canada, go to casino. And so I would go to Detroit, and you look at Detroit, downtown Detroit, and say, man, this place in Detroit, this is a gold mine. But lo and behold, what ends up happening? The guy who owns the Cleveland Cavaliers come into Detroit and realizes that it's a gold mine under African American leadership, takes over the entire Detroit area and start gentrifying, start building. Same thing in Jackson, Mississippi. I know I got some good folks on here in Jackson, Mississippi. No different. You go to Jackson, Mississippi. When you travel around the world, you see these things happen. When you travel around the world, you see these things happen. You go to Jackson, Mississippi. And what ends up at Jackson, Mississippi? It's different. It's no different than what happened in Liberty City, Miami, and Overtown, and different places in Miami. Jackson, Mississippi, all the white people left to a neighboring county. They left the city of Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi used to be a large population of white folks. They took off and went to a neighboring county. And now Jackson, Mississippi is predominantly Black. A lot of ran down, dilapidated buildings, a lot of things not taken care of. As you can see, they have a water issue. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Same thing happened in Liberty City. My parents, my mother, the Galloways, father from Jamaica, the Galloways from Bahamas, and our people, Sturps, the Sturps, who built Miami, came over here to build Miami. Let the Cubans tell you, they'll tell you they built it, but that's not true. The Sturps came here, my family members, moved over town, and eventually Dad made enough money and Mom made enough money. We ended up moving to Liberty City, one of the first few families to move to Liberty City. All white Liberty City. In some kind of way, we snuck in and bought a house. It was all white, except Liberty Square Housing Projects, which you call the pork and bean. So you call it the pork and bean, which a lot of elderlies have a problem with people calling it the pork and bean because it's Liberty Square Housing Projects. That way it got the name the pork and bean was because of white people, the wall that they built, and they said the white people across there could only, Black people who live in there, government affordable houses, can only afford pork and beans. And they gave it to the name pork and beans. So I'm giving you a little history. And these are the things that used to happen year after year after year after year. And so now, what's happening now? You have whites and Hispanics now moving into Liberty City, to hijack Liberty City. And I can take you through the whole thing because I'm 60 some years old and I'm getting ready to be I'm getting ready to add, I'm getting ready to add another number onto the 60. Same thing with Sabre Palms. They call it a different name. Sabre Palms, formerly Little Haiti, the projects over there next to Biscayne Boulevard, where right now it costs you $2,500 to get into a unit. That was the first of them all. That was a government housing project. I forget what the name of, they call it North Park or some beautiful, sexy name right now. That's what's going to happen in Liberty Square Housing Projects. It's going to be called some sexy name. It was funny today because I was cleaning out some stuff. And look what I found. I was cleaning out some stuff. Look what I found. Don't be laughing, Tangela says. Look what the fuck I found. This is what they were selling. Ooh, this is Liberty Square Housing Projects. We're African Americans. We will be able to own the property. And how beautiful this is. Now we're going to go get the schools. The Black underpopulated schools. We're going to get those. Build some houses. But I could keep going on and on and on. But tonight it's about Virginia Key Beach. Tonight is about Virginia Key Beach. Tonight is about Virginia Key Beach, people. There's a lot of walk-ups to everything. You'll hear the word. You've always you've been hearing in elections these days, because I normally hang out on Twitter, the word reparation. Oh my good folks, the word reparation. Then now it becomes okay. How do you get the reparation? How do you get the reparation? There's reparation for African Americans, descendants of slaves, reparation for Bahamians, Jamaicans, and that's why they try to remove themselves from the colony. Reparation, let's talk reparation in this country. It's because two reasons. Our land was taken away from us. Black folks' land and black folks now. And we got a lot of people in South Carolina, Alabama, and all over the state want our land back. And the slave master ain't trying to give African Americans the land back. That's why when you saw Tommy Tuberville, Republican senator from Alabama, and it's a strong push of reparation right now. Some black gentlemen had a march on DC you did not see on TV, probably a month ago or something like that. Thousands of African Americans went to DC and they marching for reparation, and before you know it became as a topic. And so a large part of this conversation tonight is before reparation, before we have to go back and ask for our black land. So I'm just excited. I think I got most of the panelists on here right now. Start bringing them up. But again, ladies and gentlemen, tonight is about Virginia Key Beach. I'm good folks from the Virginia Key Beach Trust. We got some top of the line community leaders. We got Brother Lyle on here. We got Leroy Jones. We got Patrick Range. Will be on here tonight, and we finna get down with the get down. And thank you for joining the Luke Show. Here we go. Hey, what's going on, my brother?
Always good to see you, Soldier.
There he is, Brother Lyle, my brother, my
good
man.
To see you, beloved.
And that's the great Leroy Jones, the great one. Boy, let me say this. Let me say this, guys, before we start. I just want to say this here. Hey, man, you know, I've been following each and every one of you guys for the longest. You know, Leroy, Brother Lyle, y'all fighting the fight. Y'all out here saving these kids' life. You know, you're creating schools, you're creating opportunity for our kids, you know, and you're doing the work. I mean, I think we be doing work on different spectrums, which is a beautiful thing, because I look at you guys, and I say, man, I look at you guys and say, man, we could do this, we could do that. And them brothers doing what they got to do to help the community. And it's a beautiful thing. And I see, you know, some of the posters and see some of the fights and the struggles. And I be like, man, them dudes pounding the pavement. I talked to our good friend, Bendraw Smendigal, the board, school board member. And boy, you know, she brings us all together.
Yes,
she brings us all together. Between her and Tangela Sears, we got, I mean, they just keep ourselves in line, keep ourselves in order. But the good part about it, man, you know, people have a tendency in the community to agree and disagree and all these different things. But one thing we all do agree is each and every one of us on here fight the fight for this community, for the kids of this community, for the people of this community, and it goes without nothing to say. I mean, Pat, you know, my mama, God bless her soul, sitting right back there, say, son, let me explain to y'all something. When the day I leave here through Range Funeral Home, and that was in her everything she left. And so, you know, I had an opportunity to be able to talk and speak with Miss Range when I was a young man, and the things that Miss Range did for this community as commissioner and beyond commissioner, as community leader, community servant, the things that she did and the legacy, what she paved the way is for all of us. Miss Range is in all of us. I tell you this, she is in every one of us who go out here every day and do the work for this community and keep this fight up. So she lives on in all of us. And I love her for that. I love you. I love the things that you're doing to keep her legacy as well as the community. It's not, because everything she did was community. She was a true servant of the community. So she served and made sure that we were taken care of. She was our only voice, and so I always love and respect Miss Range for that. So with that said, we'll get this thing started up. Guys, go ahead and introduce yourself and let's go from there. So Pat, is on you, Pat.
Well, thank you so much, bro Luke. It's good to be here, man, and good to be with you, and to have this opportunity to share with you and share with my brothers, Brother Jones and Brother Lyle as well. As you said, man, we are the community leaders. We are the ones that folks look to, and it's our responsibility to do our job and to uphold the community. And as you said, that's what grandmother was all about. And I'm a product of her, man. I'm a native Miamian, owner and operator now of Range Funeral Homes, along with my father, which my grandmother and my grandfather created. I'm also an attorney here. I'm a land use attorney. So I do development and so forth here in town as well. And I'm a native son, man, and I'm happy to be here.
Hey, thank you. You might have to adjust your mic a little bit, speak up a little bit because you got a little static. Little static. Mr. Jones, go ahead and introduce yourself to our good audience.
So first, Luke, I want to thank you for allowing us this opportunity, man. And so I'm Leroy Jones. I'm the lead organizer for the Circle of Brotherhood. Not trying to get any kudos for any of the work that I'm doing, but I thank you, brother, for recognizing, our work in the community, and likewise, I'm with you on that. We might be on different fronts, but all at the end of the day, it's the same thing we're trying to do, is that save our children, man. So thank you for this opportunity.
No doubt, no doubt. Brother Lyle?
Yes. First of all, I pray my volume is good.
Yes, it is.
Good. I'd like to say, first of all, family, peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. I love you all. I want to say, excuse my background. I'm actually in Springfield, Massachusetts. None of it gets away from this viciousness of this world, and I had to put one of my 29-year-old nephews to rest. But I found it not robbery to be here. And I, too, want to thank you, man, for encouraging unity, and just look forward to a fruitful discussion tonight, family.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you, and sorry for the passing of one of your family members. And that's a sad thing. Unfortunately, we're dealing with that every day for some reason in our community, but we all know what the reason is. So let's just get into it. I want to have hopefully we can have a conversation about where we're at right now, the things that has happened, good and bad. Where do we go afterwards? I was able to go to the event at Pastor Steve's church and saw all the people come up and speak. And people spoke so eloquently. I mean, I was just so proud of you guys putting that on, but it shows the work that you all have been doing in the community to be able to bring that many people in one place at one time to speak about, this beach, Virginia Key Beach, something that they love and speak passionate about. I mean, from the old to the young to the new, they all spoke about how passionate they was about the beach. So, Pat, if you could bring everybody up to speed on where we're at as far as the trust. Is the trust in place? Is the trust not in place? Where we're at right now in your eyes when it comes to the Virginia Key Beach.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, Brother Luke. Basically, where we are, man, the trust was created back in 2000, and it was created to give the community a voice. It was created to give the community some say-so over what would happen over this land that we hold so sacred, Virginia Key Beach. As you know, but for your listeners, this was the only beach, obviously, that we as Blacks could go to back in the day. This is where we went to not only recreate, man, but we had so many folks to get baptized there, have religious events, all sorts of things, man. So this is holy ground for us. And where we are today, the trust was created in order to give the community the opportunity to say what should happen on this land now after it had fallen into disrepair. And so folks, like my grandmother and Gene Tenney and Dick Townsend and many other community activists, they got together and said, no, city, we don't want a private hotel built on this land. We feel that that's not an appropriate use. This is sacred ground for us. We want to see this land preserved and be available for everyone in the community to enjoy. And so that's what they did. They encouraged the city commission to form this trust. And so one of the commissioners, Commissioner Arthur E. Teal, who's passed away since, was able to fund this trust and bring it into existence. And this trust has been tasked with bringing back the original park, the original features of the park, things like the mini train, the carousel, which are there now to enjoy, and also to build a museum there. And so where we are today, long story short, is the trust, the volunteer community citizens that were sitting on the board are no longer sitting. The city commission has taken over the trust, and they are now sitting as the trustees. So persons like myself and Gene Tenney, people who had been there even long before me, are no longer sitting, no longer have a voice. And that's really what we're talking about here. The community no longer has a voice at the table for what goes on here at Virginia Key Beach Park.
Let me ask you. So, Leroy. We've been all our life. All of us been on it all our life. We swim in the beach. My parents. As a kid, we had the rite of passage of being a man, and me and my other four brothers was to be able to swim to the island, and that was our beach. We had to be off South Beach at 6 o'clock, and right now I think we got to be off South Beach. We just can't go there right now. We had to be off South Beach at 6. We couldn't go over there. This was our beach. This is the beach that we knew was our beach. And it was passed, just like you said, like years after years. I did splashdown out there, events out there, because that was the only place we could do events. How did we get here, Leroy? How did we get here to the point of the board being dismantled in your eyes? How did that happen, and why did that happen? If you know.
So it's funny how not until the mention of the homeless being able to be housed on Virginia Key Beach, and not until the audit, which was done, none of the city commissioners at that point before then talked about removing the trust. And the concern I have with it is that they took what they thought was an opportunity based on what they didn't read, I'm going to say that, in this audit, to say that the trust was misusing money, and the trust was created. The audit showed that it was malfeasance in the audit, and that trust members had their hands in the cookie jar. And they talked about this audit before the audit was released public. And if you listen at some of the commissioners, they were saying that they read this audit more than once, front and back. Well, they want our community to believe that trust members was misusing money and was stealing money based on what the audit say. But the person who done the audit say none of that was true. None of that. None of that. No mouse species was done. Nobody got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Nothing was done illegally, financially, that will give the commission the right to say what they were saying. And so it's obviously that is some motives behind this. If they're going to say things that's not true, and now look, don't take our word for it. Get a copy of the audit. Give it to somebody who's a banker or somebody who is a CPA, and let them read the audit front and back. And let them tell you, since I'm not an auditor and I'm not a CPA, you're not neither, Luke, give it to somebody who you trust and let them read it. And let them show you where any malfeasance or anything that can even look like the trust members been stealing money. Let them show you that. And so that part there got me pissed off. Why? Because it's people that serve on that board, man, that's honorable people in our community. And none of us should sit around and allow, I don't care what race or color they are, to defame their character. If it's not true, it needs to be corrected. The first thing needs to be done, since that's the modem that they use to remove the trust, restore the trust back. Restore the original trust that they removed, since they removed them on false allegations that is not true, because I promise you it was true, somebody had been arrested already. The audit people that the city picked to do the audit said it ain't true. None of it is true. So until the first step has to be done, we have to restore the trust back to its full capacity. The trust members that removed, and I'm talking about some of the members, Patrick Range, Denny Zulu, Jeannie Tenney, who all of us know that's been working to save Black history for the past 40 years here. And even Reverend Gaskin Smith served on the trust board as a trust member. So when they say that, they talking about prominent people in our community that they trying to defame their character. And none of us should allow that to happen, man. So nothing else can be done first until they restore the trust. That's where we at now, right now, with me, as relates to me. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna stand up for them, because I will want our community to do the same thing for me. Right? None of us should allow that to happen to them, because it's not right, man. You know, imagine they sitting up there and they're gonna say how many times they read this audit and say they found all this stuff, all this negative stuff, all this stealing and all this stuff, that none of it was true. The people who they paid to do it said it wasn't true. Right? Mm. And now we're gonna just let them get away with that? Nobody. And I want y'all to check the commission meeting. Not one person up there corrected them at that commission meeting. Now we done heard people come out and said they was wrong. They shouldn't have said that. It wasn't true. But the day when that went down, and I watched the video 3 times today, nobody sat up there and said it was wrong. Not one person said it was wrong. Even though they know it's wrong, nobody corrected it.
Brother Lyle, I know you're deep into this the same way everybody else is on here. So what would be the process of getting the trust restored? How would you go about that?
That's an excellent question, Brother Luke. And I'll say the first thing is that, first of all, we as Black folk, we got to get thick skin, and we got to do what Reverend Johns, a great reverend from the Civil Rights Movement, said. He said, when you see a good fight, get in it. He didn't say when you see a good fight, gossip. He didn't say when you get into a good fight, let people, because you like them, off the hook. And so we got to get organized. And I must say, Luke, you talked about the town hall meeting that took place. And I was looking out in that audience, and I have to be honest, I saw Miami's finest in terms of leadership, in terms of activism. And so, first of all, we got to get up on the facts. I'm still studying to get up on the facts, and I want folks to know that it goes way deeper than the innuendos that you think you're hearing. And there's three main things at play. And if you want to get into specifics, you can ask the questions. But the three main things at play are, look, family, there's still somebody throwing a rock and hiding their hand and dividing our community. That has not changed. There's also, to be quite honest, when it comes down to the commission, there's some dishonest things that are taking place. And some of us are not afraid to speak about those dishonest things. And there's another thing that's going on. You know, there's black people who we respect, but we will not allow them to do wrong by our community. So those black folk in leadership that are doing wrong, they got to be checked. I'm just being real. Also, we have to study, as Brother Leroy said, what's really going on with the information that we're receiving and what's being.
Brother Lyle froze up. We know that. I'm gonna try to let him unfreeze a little bit. He froze up. He probably sitting over there in the cold. All right, I'm gonna go to Pat. As you know, I had Commissioner King on and asking her about the same thing.
Restore the trust.
Okay. Sorry about that, Brother Lyle. You
Yes, sir.
kind of froze up on us a little bit to get the last part of that. The last part of what you were saying. I know you said restore the trust, but right before that, we froze up. What were you saying?
Well, I don't know exactly where it left off, but we got three fights to front on. One is unifying ourselves. So I'm calling on all of us who call ourselves leaders and want to be active, and our common citizens, get involved. Number two, we cannot be afraid to check folk who look like us that are being, whether they know it or not, used by other ethnic people in our community for their own inordinate self-interest. And all of that needs to be checked, but we got to be informed.
Right. Like I say, I had Commissioner King on here, and when this thing was happening, even when the homeless, when they came up with the homeless ideal, I wrote a column in the Miami New Times where I write at sometimes when there are major issues that affect the Black community, I kind of go at them a little hard, which I don't care because I don't get paid to do it. My job is to do whatever I could do for my community, and so we all saw that was a joke. We all knew what that whole play was, to bring homeless folks to Virginia Key Beach. Let me ask you, was that at the time the trust was formed? Did you guys agree as a trust to bring homeless to Virginia Beach, or is that something that the city just came up with? Pat.
Yeah. So first of all, the trust was formed back in 2000, so that was long before they brought that up. But when they brought it up, they never came to the trust. They never came to the trust and they asked us, boo, about what was going on, or about having a homeless encampment over there. That was something that we heard of once it was going on the agenda. That's the only way that we knew about it, because we were reading the agenda. Somebody read the agenda and called the office and said, hey, y'all might want to take a look at this. Wow. So that's how we found out about it.
So I had the commissioner on, and the commissioner spoke about one thing that was very intriguing. And when I read up on you guys and some of the work that you've been doing, and you have a clear timeline of what things that happened, clear timeline from 1945 to 1982 to 2000, 2002, 2004, 2006, 2008. And I mean, because again, when you run a trust the way you guys ran it, you have everything detailed and itemized and lined out. So what was very interesting was this $15 million to build a museum that the city approved and the county approved, and then Commissioner King, spoke about an additional $5 million. Can you explain to everybody what that $15 million of building a museum was for, and the other part of it, it being approved 18 years ago, and why haven't something been done at this moment?
Sure, absolutely. So the county approved a GOB plan, a general obligation bond, back in the early 2000s to conduct all types of projects all across the county, from sewage to housing to all sorts of things. So in that allocation, which was, so many hundreds of millions of dollars, I don't even know how much it was, to be honest, probably was close to $1 billion, if not more. In that process, the trust was approved, or at least the city of Miami was approved to receive an allocation of $15.5 million out of that general obligation bond. And that $15.5 million was dedicated to the construction of a museum dedicated to the history of Black Miamians. And so that was approved by the voters as a part of that GOB plan. And so that was approved back in 2004. And so, correct, it has been a number of years since that money has been approved and available for us to build the museum. But that's what we had there, $15.5 million. We also were granted an additional something like $5 million from an additional tax revenue source. I believe it was the county development, I believe it's called the CDT, or county development tax, which was another source of revenue that we were able to achieve $5 million. So the trust is who worked to receive that allocation, to push for that allocation of money. And so, again, it was upon us from that point to move forward with the construction of the museum. And, to whatever extent, you want to hear it, I'll tell you what the issues have been as far as us being able to actually build that museum and be able to access that money, because that money resides with the county. That's not money that we've been able to access, but it's been sitting there waiting for that purpose and can't be used otherwise, without the voters saying differently.
So if it's $20 million that was awarded, I guess $15 million in 2004, and in 2006, you guys created a master plan. Now, that master plan obviously was based on the 15 or the $20 million that was voted on and approved by. So what happened? What happened since then? You got the money. You got the money, and we have a master plan that was approved by the trust and everybody else. What happened in between? Why hasn't the museum been built? What's the holdup?
Okay, so you have the timeline there in front of you, so you can see what the trust has been doing, since 2004, since 2006. We reopened the park in 2008. Remember, the park had been closed. Mm-hmm. It was nothing, and of course I remember, I was a youngster back in Splashtown days, and I remember those days very much. It wasn't nothing but a field out there, brother.
That's nothing but a field.
And, we was fortunate we got the fire trucks come out there and spray us on a hot summer day, so we ain't pass out there.
Exactly.
So I remember those days very well, brother. And all you got to do is go walk out there, man, and see what the trust has done in terms of what it looked like from when we enjoyed those days. And I had a great time out there. Don't get me wrong, guy. I enjoyed Splashdown. But what we get out there now is what you would expect of a park, okay? And I don't want us to lose sight of the fact that this is what this is. This is a park. You hear people talk about all other grandiose ideas. They want to do this, do that, do this, do that. This is a park. This is somewhere for a public to recreate and enjoy. That's what it's always been. And so that's what we've done. And all you got to do is go out there and see what we've done. But in terms of the museum, the money has been there. We have pushed as far as getting an architect on board, getting renderings done of what a museum would look like, what we'd expect it to look like. only to be thwarted at each step of the way by some political grievance or whatever the case may be. As you know, Luke, it takes more. We are a volunteer trust board. You can see on the timeline the things that we have done and brought to fruition. To build something like a museum, that takes political will. We don't just go out there and say, okay, we ready to take this 15.5 million, we're gonna build. I wish it was that easy, brother, because we have 5 museums built by now. Mm-hmm. It requires the political will of the commission to come forward and be able to say, yes, we're ready to get this done.
Yeah, I mean, you have two guys on here, that has been that work fairly close with elected officials, and I mean, like Leroy, you work real close with Dorothy Bendross Mendigal, our beautiful queen, school board member, and she's done some things with you guys and done some things with us. She's done things for everybody. When political figures award, whether it's a building, whether it's monies, because you go out and fight for these dollars to do what you need to do to work in the community. I mean, in your opinion, what happened in these 18 years, and why these $15 million, and why this museum didn't come to fruition? And how can we get it done? We got $15 million. We got a master plan. What do we do next? I mean, you guys, you and Brother Lyle, you Circle of Brotherhood, you built buildings. I mean, how do you access that? And I know Patrick is speaking about, hey, look, man, it's political, it's hard, and we all know it's hard. We redid Hadley Park, 28-acre park, and I understand exactly what you're saying, Pat. And Gibson Park, Joe Ariola. I came to Joe Ariola and Commissioner Teal at the same time, and I said, listen, we don't have our park we don't have a bathroom at Hadley Park. We have a 28-acre park. The little girls have to walk, and little boys have to walk all the way to the Carrie Meek Center to use the bathroom. That center is too small. Gibson Park, you guys you gave part of the park to Alonzo Mourning, who will not, in my opinion, at the time, let any kids from Overtown use the facility. We have Gibson Park right here. Joe Ariola went, found $26 million for Gibson Park to redo it, and he found $16 million to put a youth center and rebuild Hadley Park. Found this money, and I understand, those dollars and those numbers get flashed out there, but at the same time, now it becomes political muscle. And make a long story short, it took us about 12 years to get what we have done through 4 commissioners to get what we had done at Hadley Park and Gibson, because that community worked so close together, they were able to build over there. So can you talk about, when the money is allocated, the process of getting things built? What should the process be right now of getting that $20 million and building that museum?
So if I can say, Luke, so all us go back to the splashdown days, right? And so that park was so dear and still is to us. And let's just say all of us dropped the ball, because we didn't, as we grew older, our concepts and things that we wanted to do and being involved in the community, the park at Virginia Key Beach wasn't one of those things anymore. So when we used to go there all the time, especially in the summer when we was young, all of us, we grew older, and interest in having interest in other things came about, right? So, but think about this. Imagine this. The most beautiful thing about hatred thing that just happened, what these elected officials did, I'm sorry. The beautiful thing that just what happened is that now it's bringing us back together, right? To fight for this beach, right? It's bringing us, it woke us up, and now something that was wrong and sad, now it brought our eyesight back onto this lovely beach that all of us loved, right? And imagine this, during the housing crisis, when the housing market, when the housing crashed, do you know Virginia Key Beach managed 7 years without any money from the city of Miami? Now imagine, it's a city-owned park, right? A waterfront park, the only waterfront park that the city of Miami, beach that the city of Miami has. And the city of Miami didn't give the Virginia Key Beach Trust $1 in 7 years. Now imagine if that was Charles Hadley Park. Imagine that was Jose Marti's Park, going 7 years without any money. But the Virginia Key Beach Trust still managed to keep that beach alive. Imagine that. So obviously, it's some political things that taking place behind the scene. If the county and city ain't working together, don't want to work together, if they interests ain't, look, they move the trust now, guess what? I bet you this city commission now aim is to try to prove that the trust wasn't doing that because they can get the museum done because they the government. The trust had the answer to the city. The trust can't get any money from the county. The city has to get the money from the county and then give it to the trust. So the trust can't go to the county and say, look, give us the $15 million. The city has to do it. So think about the situation that the trust board been put in all these years, trying to access these dollars and trying to get this museum done by having to go through two forms of government, and the will of the government wasn't there.
So, Brother Lyle, how do we go and what does the community have to do to go and get these $15 million, to get these $20 million and to build this museum? I know just like Brother Leroy and Pat has been speaking, on the restoring the trust, and it starts there first. Okay, assuming we get the trust restored, how do we get these $15 million, these $20 million, and get this project built? How do we do that?
That's a great question, and we get ready to go deep sea fishing with that one, Luke, because we got to keep it real, brother.
Well, I know you keep it real.
So first of all, we got to stop the thieves who want the museum. We got to stop the thieves who want the park. And we got to stop the thieves that want to develop it for their own self-interest, even though they think they may mean good. So that means we got to recognize a couple things. And I'll use something you said as a backdrop. Now, for those who don't know, I first came to Miami in 2007, and I actually landed, Luke, in Overtown. And I was in the middle, because of the work that I do with youth, I was in the middle of the fight when people were saying about the Overtown Youth Center and youth not being from Overtown and then the park not being used. I was in the middle of that. And I want to tell you for a fact that 97% of the young people that went to the Overtown Youth Center, they were from Overtown. So there was a lot of people mixing us up with some stuff like right now. Family, look up this word. We're going to start right here. Look up the word oligarchy. Oligarchy. And for those who don't know what the word oligarchy means, that is a political family-controlled system. And we right now have been trying to turn, I'm talking about just being real in Miami, we act like we don't see the oligarchy at play. I'm talking about the black oligarchy at play right now that may have their own philosophy, but it looks like a land grab. So we got to call it what it is. So in order for us to get this money, I've been watching city commission meetings from the current ones that have been taking place going all the way back to 2019. And I have to be honest with this current commission that's on board. I'm just being real. The only one on this issue that I've seen that has been upfront and honest has been Ken Russell. The rest of them have been showing ulterior motives. So, family, we can't be afraid of the big bad wolf. And we got to understand that this is the Wizard of Oz. We got to pull the cover off of the oligarchy. Number two, I watched a 2019 commission meeting where $2 million was designated to go to Virginia Key Beach. And some of our Cuban commissioners tried to take $1 million of that away to build a Cuban museum in Little Haiti, in Little Havana. So we just got to be real that there's a lot of thievery going on. And people think that because if you sit on that commission, you better have some thick skin and you better watch yourself before you get used by people who have self-interest. So we got to wake up the people. If the people continue to show up and say enough is enough, we forget how powerful we are sometimes. We think, well, we can't do anything because they're too powerful. Family, wake up and let's unite and let's come together. But don't be afraid of an oligarchy. And don't be afraid of some of our Cuban brothers who have their own self-interest and are trying to confuse us and get us to fight one another.
Hey, Luke, if I can say this, at the town hall meeting we had, we allowed everybody that wanted to speak. Everybody that there who wanted to speak, and everybody was invited. I know some people say they wasn't invited, but everybody was invited. And everybody, nobody got cut off. Everybody had the opportunity to speak, So let me tell you, the sad part to me was at that meeting, as people was coming in, they kept saying, some of the people were saying, I'm here because I support Christine King. That's what they kept saying. Bruh, I wasn't there because I support Patrick or because I support Denny Zulu. I was there because I support the idea of us saving that valuable land for Black people. Of course, Patrick is my friend. Of course, Mr. Denny Zulu is my friend. Of course, Cassian Smith is my friend. I cherish them brothers dearly. But I wasn't there because of them, just because of them. I was there because of the idea of we need to save that valuable property. That's the only thing we got now. Mm-hmm. Coconut Grove is gone. 3 commissioners share Coconut Grove now. 2 Spanish and one white. Little Haiti is gone. Magic City, some white boys own almost all of Little Haiti now. It's gone. Overtown, look at the high rises. Black people in the next 2 years ain't gonna be able to afford to stay there. It's gone, man. Liberty City next. And guess what? It ain't gone just because community people like us is not fighting for it. It's gone because the people in power selling our community out. That's why it's being gone. Let's just be real about it. Them high rises ain't going there just because people want to put a high riser there. It's going there because of money, man. All this stuff is about money, and it's blocking us out. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, look, I hope nobody is saying they taking this fight because of a person. It ain't about the person, man. I'm not doing this because I don't care about the commissioner. I care about her. I love her, bro. I said that in the meeting. Mm-hmm. Right? That's our family. She one of us. But I don't like the idea of what's going down with them trying to do what they trying to do with the only property that we got left, that Black people can say, you know what, our ancestors came here. Mr. Goff Reed told me one time, he said, you know what, Leroy, I remember I had to go catch a boat to get to Virginia Key Beach. Imagine that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you said some powerful words. So Pat, okay, here we are in this situation where, we go through the timeline, and now Virginia Key Beach is the top topic of the moment of the entire community, especially for our community. And just like Brother Leroy said, it's the last frontier. It's the last frontier. Let's keep it 100. And you're right. Everything has been sold off, and even Miami Gardens. I did a mayor's forum on here probably 3 or 4 years ago, and at that time it was Miami Gardens was 17% Hispanic, and right now it's close to 37% Hispanic, and so we see where that's going at. With that said, knowing that majority, and when I look at uh, some of your information, and we talk about the 2%, we represent 20% of the electric here, and we only get 2% of the contracts, whether it's school board or whether it's county and city. We know we've been getting taken down the line, and we always vote for good folks to move that needle. And and just saying that, not to pivot, but it's sad, it is a sad day right now for African Americans in Miami because we had a school board chair and Dr. Steve Gallen, and now he's no longer the chair. As of tonight, which is a very sad thing for us here in Miami. Again, politics as usual. So we're sitting here, and a large reason for us not being able to move that 2% to the 20% minority participation, whether it's contracts and construction or whatever it may be, is because we'll win the bid, but then we can't build the property, and we end up becoming subcontractors in these situations. Or we want to be the ones to rebuild Liberty Square Housing Project, like I showed a picture of, but we can't build it because we don't have any money. We don't have a bank, because the Latinos have the bank, they have the money, they have the political power, and we can't move that number. We can't move the needle. So in your dreams, how would you see this in your dreams, but in the reality of the moment, in the reality of what has happened, just like Brother Leroy has so eloquently laid out, of things that we lost in your dreams? How do you see this? How do you see this getting done? How do you see us keeping this land, this property? How do you see us getting to this sacred ground? Because again, if we lose Virginia Key Beach, if we lose it, it will erase our entire history. Because just like Brother Leroy said, we're constantly losing our history. We are not Miami Gardens, we're Carroll City. We are constantly losing our city. So this loss would be catastrophic. My 13-year-old son would not know that Daddy and Grandma and all the rest of them and Miss Range and you guys and all of us and everybody before us. How do you see us winning this battle? Is it us going? Is it because we're gonna need to fight? It's gonna be a fight. How do you see us being able to win this battle, get this museum built, get something built so immaculate of our history of Virginia? How do we get this done? Do we need political backing, which obviously that's going to be a little tight? Do we need money? Do we need a bank? Do we need the same thing that they have who are trying to take it? Do we need that? How do we get this done? How do we save this beach?
Well, I'm gonna steal a little phrase from Brother Lyle, and I hope he doesn't mind. He said it. He said it.
That's dangerous now. That's dangerous.
It is, but it's so appropriate, man. And you might have heard it because I know you were there, Brother Luke. And Brother Lyle said, "This is our Rosa Parks moment."
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't prepared for that, Luke. I wasn't. I had to sit there and think about that, man, because I had to think about, man, I was almost brought to tears, bro. I can't even tell you. Sitting in the commission chambers and Dr. Enid Pinckney walks in and sits down. Miss Thelma Gibson comes in, sits down. Dr. Dorothy Jenkins Fields comes in, sits down. I mean, I could only think in my mind, obviously, you know, if my grandmother was here, she would have come in and walked in and sat down. And it's like, man, these folks have fought their whole lives so that we would have something. So that we would have something. They fought their whole lives, man.
Yeah.
This is our Rosa Parks moment. If we care anything about what their sacrifice meant for us here in this town, and those that came before them, man, and it's so sad, man, that you know, we don't know our history to the extent that we should, and understand where we came from and we don't have much, and that's the sad part about it. But the little bit that we do have, man, people fought for. You know, my grandmother fought for regular trash pickup in our neighborhoods. She fought for cold drinking water fountains in our schools. You know, man, if we don't stand up, man, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we here? Because we sure not gonna have nothing, man. But Brother Leroy was saying, we done lost, man. We done lost, bro. I remember growing up. I know you do, Lou. I remember growing up here, man, when we had Overtown, when we had Carroll City, Liberty City. I remember the days when you didn't see nobody walking up and down 17th Avenue that didn't look like me. So, I mean, so this is our Rosa Parks moment. I couldn't say it any better than Brother Lyle, man. And I'm gonna maximize that, bro.
Please, because it is. And if I can just say this to add on what our brother Patrick is saying, because everybody got room for this on the battlefield. You know, I just heard some, and I'm going to give you some specific instructions if you want to get on the battlefield. But number one, I keep hearing people say, Luke, we just all need to get along. We're not getting along with people who are wrong, whether they black, white, or Cuban. That's not going to happen. We got to stand on the side of what's right. So for those of you who are either uninformed or ill-informed, number one, you should be blowing up the commissioner's phone numbers. You should be blowing up their emails and asking for answers, because all of them got questions, but we need some answers. Okay, so Commissioner Reyes pulled up our fact sheet at the commission meeting and said this is a bunch of lies. So I like to see those people go to the next commission meeting, which they moved, of course, the one that was supposed to be on the 8th, which Commissioner King so passionately said and gave a promise to us at the last meeting that meeting would take place, but it's been moved. Commissioner Reyes, somebody ask him, point out specifically, and do it in public, because they'll say one thing behind closed doors and another thing in public. Tell us exactly on that sheet what's a lie. And then Commissioner King, if this isn't of your doing or your making, all we're asking you is point us in the right direction. We don't have no problem. It's shame on the oligarchy to throw our sister under the bus or to put her out there in front when you're the ones behind the scenes pulling those. So if you know them and they're your friends, talk to them. We should fill every single commission meeting until we get the things that we desire. And then we should do what our good old black folk, that Brother Patrick who talked about, fought that if it's not working, then we need to shut it down. And I will say this, Luke, and I can say this with a smile. It was during the French Revolution when I think it was Charles Dickens who said, this is the worst of times and the best of times. So it's a beautiful time for us to unite, but I'm tired of black folks saying this. Can't we all just come together? No, we're not coming together with people who are wrong. I don't care who they are and what they look like. So family, you got to get up. You got to get educated. You got to get in the fight.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I firmly believe that, and I, you know, this has woke up everybody, because just like you said, most of us we all got an opinion, we all sit there, but one thing we do all have in our heart that we you know, they brought this. You're right, they brought this to the forefront. They brought this to the forefront to wake us up because we were asleep on Virginia Key Beach because we was too busy worrying about South Beach and how we get treated on South Beach, and forgot that we do own our own beach that we need to be attending more. And I'm just like you, Leroy. You know, I love Commissioner King. I was able to have several conversations with her about this and in detail about this. And we do know, and we all know on here, politics is politics, and the difficulties of politics. And we have some people don't. A lot of people don't understand it. They think, okay, all right, it should just happen, or we got to scream and holler, or anything like that. Politicians see certain things coming down the pipeline, and they see certain moves that their colleagues is making, without going too far in detail of it. And we all see that there has to be a give and there has to be a take and a push and to be able to save. So, we look at Commissioner King, and like I say, I mean, I really did not know her as much as I got to know her because of this issue right here. I got to know her a lot better, and I have a lot of respect for her as the commissioner, and I kind of feel what she's kind of going through in a lot of cases. And so one thing she said to me was, Luke, the board, Luke, I'm the chair of the board of the trust, and then I got two other votes, right? I got two other people I can appoint, right? And I know you guys went to a meeting to see who they were going to appoint. And so when she said that, without her going too much into details, I'm playing politics because I got hijacked the whole thing and not be the chair of it, because they would have then said, okay, each commissioner can appoint one person, which they are able to do anyway. But I got three seats on the board. So I'm looking like, okay, this lady is thrust into this situation where she's trying to salvage as much as she can salvage, and going to saying, okay, what do we do? Because I'm always on this. What do we do? How do we get this $20 million? How do we get this museum built? How do we save our beach? When she started telling me these things, and then I just, we know the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is there is forces to be reckoned with to go and try and take the beach from us. How about us, Mr. Leroy, Pat? How about us, just like you say, Brother Lyle, coming together, some shape, form, or fashion, without them coming and say, here's the plan, here's the money, here's the plan, here's the money, add it on to your money. This is what we want to build. We want to build something that look like it's out of Dubai. We go get our own money. We go get our own money, our own plans, our own renderings, and build us something so immaculate that these people in this community, the Jewish people, the Cuban people, the white people, and all can look at saying, these black folks really did it. They really built something real serious over there, their museum, and they put something together over there that will not erase their rich history and the legacy of the people before us. Can we do that? Can we do that?
Luke, if I may, and I think I know Patrick wants to jump in, but I need to say this on his behalf in the trust. We can do that, but not before we correct the wrong that was done to the trust. Luke, we sat in a commission meeting, and you talk about us coming together with our money, and a commissioner said to one of our prominent citizens, Miss Teri Williams, who owns the largest black bank in the United States of America, had the nerve to tell our sister, you should put your money where your mouth is. See, there's correction before we can be unified. And there's also another lie that's being told, Brother Luke. And the lie is that, you know, Christine King knows exactly who put her up to do what she's doing. But we can come together behind closed doors. And once we correct the wrong, then we can be unified. But on behalf of the trust, they were lied on and they were made to be seen as if they were stealing money. They were made to be seen as if they were ineffective. So if our black folk who told those lies and allowed the other commissioners to come up and say those lies, if we don't correct that, how can we have trust for Virginia Key Beach? Trust.
So Luke. So that's where I've been at with this all the while, bro. We cannot move forward until the trust is restored, because the tactics that they used was all a lie, and it's not good. No, you can't get nothing good out of that. The first thing, nothing can be done, and I'm not changing my mind on none of this. I've been saying this from day one. Nothing else can be done. We can't come together. None of that can be done unless we coming together to have the commission restore the trust first. Then we can do everything we need to do together as a unit, all of us, to see what we want out there. But until that's done, man, there's nothing else we can't go forward, man. You can't move forward on a lie like that, man. It's not good. It's not healthy. Our community, it can't accept that.
So Pat.
Yeah.
So we go. Let's assume we lay it out. One, we restore the trust. Two, we now we come with a master plan. And two, we come with a master plan. Just like Brother Lyle said, when they count the pockets of the young lady from the bank, and they said, "Put your money where your mouth is," because again, as always, we like I said earlier, they figure we don't have access to money, and that is why it becomes a CeeLo game. Big bank take little bank. So they figure we don't have access to money. We go and not them. You restore the trust. We come with a master plan. We come with our money. Our master plan is based on what? Well, I guess our master plan is based on what we want. We want this immaculate building, restore this park to being something we all can agree on and beautify, where all these young people who are not being able to go to South Beach, who are getting abused by each mayor for the last decade, where we're crying on TV, whether it's Memorial Day weekend or Black College Spring Break, we create something along with the museum where all these kids and our kids can be able to be happy about. We go, one, restore the trust. Two, we come up with a master plan, not a serious master plan. Three, we come and we say we got our money. And we don't need y'all money. No money from around here, no Mr. Latino, no Mr. Telemundo. We got our money. And I personally think the project, and I don't know whether you guys, I think the project should be a $300 million project, not just. I think it should be something that restores and something that can't be moved and something that cannot be altered of our history. That's what I'm on. You know, I always think big. Some people tell me all the time I think too damn big. But then at the end of the day, if you don't think big, then you get nothing at all. And so, is that the direction, Pat, or is that not the direction?
My brother, man, it's what you said is the vision. That's the vision. And honestly, you know, for us, it was never about it being 300 million. You know, we were going to work with what we have, and we could do a beautiful thing with what we have, man. A beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. We can do a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line, what I love what you said and what we have proposed and what they don't want to see happen, is for the control to go away from them. And that's what our concern is that control stays with them, and we're at the whims of whatever they want to do. Ideally, if we could be a part of the national park system of the federal government, nobody could touch this land ever again. I don't care who the city commissioner is, who the county commissioner is, who the governor of the state of Florida is, doesn't matter. And so at the end of the day, that's what I would love to see.
Hey man, that's a beautiful thing. Can y'all put me in charge of finding the $300 million? Leroy?
So Luke, I would say this. I would say
I'm gonna find the $300 million, brother Lyle. And the check ain't gonna say 300, and then they give us 200.
That's right.
I would say find it. I would say find it, but I would also say don't turn down no government money. Look,
use that money.
The Aging Arts Center, the Perez, all them museums we got in Dade County was built with government money.
Mm-hmm.
They built them with government money. So,
why should we not get our fair share?
Why we should not get ours?
Let me tell you. Let me just share this with y'all, because when you go to thinking, and my mind go to thinking, I was like, okay, here we go. We got $15 million. We got $20 million, right? And I don't, we on here, we family, and I know they listening because they on here too. I saw some of them with some fancy watches in the meeting y'all had, and I was looking at them. They was trying to dress down Brother Lyle. We already know how they got Malcolm. You feel me? So they was dressed down, but they had the fancy watch on and the pretty phone. You feel me? So I'm sitting there now. I'm looking in the dark, Pat. I'm looking in the dark. I'm like, oh, I'm looking at, okay, all right. Yeah, okay. What are you doing here? Because, I grew up 58 and 10. So I'm sitting there. So again, when my mind started racing, and again, I be thinking big, and that's just my whole thing. And like, we have to own this. We built America. Black people built America. Bahamians, our ancestors, my family, the Sturps and the Galloways, and every one of you all in the ranges. This is our town. We built this place. Why can't we build this? So how do we build it? You got to have the money, because you got to have the money. So I'm sitting up there saying, okay, we got $20 million, and we're gonna need anywhere from 200, 300 to build some real drop dead thing. Yes, we can build it with the 15, 20 million. Yes. So I'm saying, okay, what if we just take the 15, 20 million dollars, and put that into black businesses in some shape, form, or fashion, however, where the build out of those black businesses is taken from the 15, 20 million dollars. And then those black businesses don't have to pay rent for whatever amount of years. And now, again, because I heard one thing in you guys' meeting, if we build something great, then they're going to take it, and we can't afford to be there. We can't, because when it gets so drop dead gorgeous, then they try to hijack it. No. You don't hijack it that way, because now you have black participation, black business, black folks building something for black people, something that when they look at it, they'll look at it, oh no, this is not like our little Jewish museum. This is not like our other little museum. This is some serious that explains to you the history of African Americans. So I say this, gentlemen, I'm gonna go look for the $300 million, and I'm not going downtown or to one of these people. That's gonna be a difficult task. Y'all don't hold me if I can't. Don't hold me responsible if I can't find the 300. But I'm a damn sure go work my ass off to find the 300.
It's already done, Luke. You know why? Because you put it in the atmosphere, brother. You reminded me of when the minister said, I want to bring 1 million men to Washington, D.C. And he tried to catch those words back, but it was too late. So because you put it out there, brother, and you have just done what we're asking everyone else to do, find your place in this fight and don't sit on the sideline. So I love the vision, brother, but I got to say this. The 15 million you keep talking about, let's be real, family. Right now, it's being held hostage, waiting for thieves to take it. So we still got to secure that, family. So just to let you know, county, we need where you stand on this, county. We need to know where you stand on this, county, because you're holding that money, but we wonder if you'll hold the city responsible. And we'll say this as well, too. I'll say this to the oligarchy. Come, let us reason together, because I don't think you have any idea of the giant that you are waking up. And it is in our best interest to come together. And to all of those deceitful, lying politicians that just want to line their pockets and just want to push other people's agenda forward, those days are over. And one correction, Brother Luke, the specific mention in the meeting that we had was about people who were more concerned, let's be very specific, about putting a luxury hotel on Virginia Key Beach, not other beautiful edifices and other beautiful buildings and other beautiful attractions. I love the vision, make it as beautiful as Dubai. I love that. But people, whether they were just thinking about, well, we need to draw an economic engine, but what gave you that thought? And what developers did you have in mind? And by the way, that was proposed in a commission meeting back in 2019. Go look at that.
That's interesting. Hey, man, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for coming on. And just remember, you guys, this platform is for you all at any given time. You could say, Luke, Coach, man, let's sit on here. Let's talk about things happening in the neighborhood. Let's talk about things that we're doing, and this is for you all to be able to use, right now we're on Twitter, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook Live, we're on YouTube, and most of the time it normally be played after the fact because a lot of people don't want to come on because their name and their picture show up, but it'll be played millions and millions of times. So tomorrow you probably have 30,000 people, and then now y'all done put me in the fight. They're gonna take it and shoot at me. Shit.
We got your
Luke gonna go get the money. We gotta go purge Luke. This shit is the purge around here. If you saw the movie, they can't purge Leroy and Brother Lyle. So they again. But I love you, brothers, man. Again, man, let's talk offline. Anything that I could do. Anything you need me for, I'm here. And I'm gonna go look. See if I can find $200 to $300 million, and I'm in the fight with you guys. And so just know, I love you all. Keep doing what you're doing,
you too,
and
brother.
we're just gonna keep the fight of saving our community. Thank you.
Love you too, my brother.
Thank you, my brother.
All right. Okay.